Today we're talking about a player whom I haven't made a video about literally in 4 years. The last time we made a video about this guy, I believe it was in the Islanders prospect pool video that was made in the summer of 2018. It's been a while, and in fact, 2018 I feel was the last time we really put a focus on this player on the channel, because we made the Why I Want video about this guy, we made the prospect video of course, and ever since then we just kind of let him fade into the background. We're heading over to the New York Islanders and talking about a guy that I personally had in my top 7 of the 2018 NHL Draft. I wanted the Canucks to get this guy, but of course that was with the preconceived idea that Quinn Hughes wouldn't be available at number 7, but either way, we're going over to the Islanders and we're talking about their second straight first-round pick, Oliver Wahlstrom. Now, if you remember everything that we had talked about back in the day, Oliver Wahlstrom was a guy that I thought was going to be absolutely brilliant, and there were good reasons to support his overall profile in the draft. He's a June 13th, 2000 born right-wing right-handed player, 6'2", 205, and back in the draft season that he had, he was the best goal scorer for the US NTDP. 62 games played, 48 goals, 46 assists, and 94 total points. He was over a point per game for Team USA at the World Under-18s, and Wahlstrom was, in my opinion at least, the most effective goal scorer of the draft. Now, I get it, with hindsight that's kind of ridiculous to say because Svechnikov was there, also you have Brady Tkachuk, and Filip Zadina was kind of there too. Even though these guys were all good, I was always such an underdog fan of Oliver Wahlstrom that I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of biased that year, high-key. We made the video, of course, you could see what I had to say about him in this time frame. I was in my senior year of high school. Let's go over to the scouting report and read about this for the first time in 4 years by Curtis Joe from EP. A sensational scoring threat, Oliver Wahlstrom is a fierce competitor that preys on weak play. He exploits gaps in the neutral zone. His positioning allows him to carry the puck forward immediately or shift up into stride off an outlet pass. He promptly takes easy lanes away from the opposition along his own blue line, but could stand to be more proactive defensively. Offensively, he might be described as uncontainable. The confidence he has in his individual puck skill, paired with a high level of thinking, makes him a difficult cog to take out of alignment. He is able to create opportunities for himself as well as teammates out of nothing. This, in turn, translates to energy on the ice and in the building as a whole. All in all, Oliver Wahlstrom is an instinct-driven hockey player gifted with the size, skating, skill, and smarts that coaches yearn for. There also was the really interesting trivia of Oliver Wahlstrom and his Michigan lacrosse-ish shootout goal that he had scored when he was 9 years old. Yeah, you remember this clip of the guy on the Boston Bruins ice doing the thing? He pretty much does what Trevor Zegras did at the All-Star Shootout competition earlier this year. Yeah, that 9-year-old kid was Oliver Wahlstrom. This video took place back in 2009, and Wahlstrom eventually became an NHL prospect. He was taken 11th overall after being ranked to go a lot earlier, 5th overall across the board by ISS, Future Considerations, and McKeen's. Bob McKenzie had him at number 9. But he did slip down the rankings because he had a few other guys making their presence known, like Barrett Hayton and Jesperi Kotkaniemi, when they probably should not have been drafted that high. Give it a few seasons, after struggling a little bit with the Boston college system in the NCAA and working his way up eventually to the Islanders from Bridgeport, and all of a sudden you have yourselves a guy who, in 16 games played right now, has 5 goals and 4 assists in 22-23. He's got 9 total points, he's on pace for 45 points, and it would be a pretty significant career high. At the moment, his career high was last year, where he had 24 points in 73 games played. If you go by points per game, that was 2 seasons ago, where he had 12 goals and 9 assists for 21 points in 44 games. However, the reason I wanted to talk about Wahlstrom today is because of this post made on the Islanders subreddit by Snipe and Selly. Why do coaches hate Oliver Wahlstrom? Caps fan here, coming in peace. From an outsider's perspective, Wahlstrom is clearly the most talented goal scorer on the Isles with massive potential. Yet for several years in a row, he averages around 10 minutes of time on ice each game. At first, I thought it was just Trotz being stubborn Trotz. We experienced a similar thing with Jakub Vrana in Washington. However, even after the coaching change, there's no large change in ice time, although he's listed on line 1 now. The odd thing is he isn't playing bad. He scores quite often in his limited role and is playing well defensively in the games I've watched. It's puzzling to me how this guy isn't getting a minimum of 15 minutes of time on ice per game, not to mention he isn't even on the first power play, especially on a team without an elite goal scorer. Am I missing something? Now, of course, it's easy to just read this post and be like, yeah, no, Lane Lambert, you gotta go out there, start playing Wahlstrom more. But the thing is, there's a very legitimate reason as to why this happens. Take a look at this comment made. Am I missing something? DL2316 replies, yeah, you are missing something because you aren't watching many Islanders games and you're only focusing on stats. Not a criticism, but you wouldn't see the mistakes he's making, which happen more frequently than our other players, or how in the final 6 minutes with the lead, Barzal gets Parise as a line mate because he is way more defensively responsible. Wahlstrom is getting the ice time he deserves right now. Immune Hen then says, piggybacking off of your comment, which is 100% correct, what I do like about his role versus what I've seen in the past is that he's still playing a top 6 role. Too many times have I seen coaches slot a guy like that in the 3rd or 4th line expecting the player to prove himself. Lambert's approach, however, is different. Wahlstrom can be a top 6 talent, and that's the opportunity he's been given. However, they aren't putting him in too many situations where he can ruin a game. I think this can be great for his development. He gets time with a top player with limited liability. He can focus on scoring and playing confidently. There are a few other comments saying that, hey, he makes a lot of bad plays physically and mentally. You're quite right, Snom Tom says, in that Wahlstrom is a potent scoring threat and is a competent player in the defensive zone. His main issue I've observed over the past 2 seasons is his propensity for errors and turnovers. Wahlstrom can get too creative and ambitious at times, especially in the neutral zone, which is especially beleaguering in a structure such as ours. That said, I do not think including him on the first power play unit is a mistake. Having such an elite shot parked to the dot pretty much forces the PKers to play a glorified 4v3. And obviously, I'm not going to go out there and say that I'm basing my entire opinion off a Reddit thread, but Oliver Wahlstrom has never really been given that chance to be a number 1 right-wing star like we thought he would be when he was eligible to being drafted in 2018. Not saying he deserves that opportunity right now, just pointing out that he hasn't been given it. But with the way things are going with Lane Lambert and the system that he's providing, it is an interesting sort of developmental tool, I feel, to be giving Wahlstrom somewhat of a top 6 role, just without top 6 minutes. They're playing him with talented players, but they're just not playing him a lot. Because sometimes when you get guys that are absolutely super creative and dangly and skilled growing up, you have players that eventually turn out to be guys that overthink it a little bit. Kent Johnson sort of has a similar thing going on with him in the Columbus system right now, where sometimes his brain works a little bit too quick and his hands and feet can't really keep up. It appears to me that Wahlstrom unfortunately is struggling through some of those same symptoms, so it really is just a matter of simplifying the game, making sure that he makes the proper reads and executes properly too. Because at the end of the day, if you find Wahlstrom all by himself on the right side with some room on the right wing, hey, watch out. That guy's got a shot, that guy's got a perception of the game that allows him to either rip one on goal or stop up, look for a passing lane, throw it across, and make some very nice plays as well. Wahlstrom was a guy that I personally wanted for Vancouver at 7, and in my opinion, back in the 2018 draft, I kind of had it as Dahlin, Svechnikov, Zadina, and then I had Hughes as my number 4, Boquist at 5, Tkachuk at 6, and Wahlstrom at 7. I was like, yeah, that's 7 names right there that I would all be very much okay with the Canucks getting. If they get any of these guys, that'd be fine. Plus, they're 7 names, and the Canucks are drafting 7, so by default, one of them has to be available. I was kind of thinking if they got Wahlstrom, like, they would have Besser, who in that season's worth of play was actually good. Like, the guy was almost at 30 goals on the year, and he was looking to being the best Canucks goal scorer we had seen since Bure. Like, he was that good in that time frame, and I was like, yeah, I want another one. I want another right-wing American sniper. Give me Bradley No. Give me Oliver Wahlstrom, and we'll be on our way. But obviously, with hindsight, I think taking Quinn Hughes was the best pick they could have made. I had the guy at 4th overall, so the fact that the Canucks got him at 7, I think is a pretty good deal. It's just for the Islanders, on a team that's already doing so well this season, it's almost like you have a diamond in the rough, like an extra piece that you're just waiting for him to really put it all together. And in the meantime, while he's in the process of putting it all together, he's still on pace for 40-something points and 20 goals. Like, that's a pretty talented player right there, and he's only 22 years old. So, who knows what the future has in store for Oliver Wahlstrom as he eventually matures and develops in Lane Lambert's system and hopefully fixes up his egregious turnover tendencies as well as his overhandling of the puck. But either way, talk to the comments your thoughts about the Wahlstrom dilemma, how they've been playing him as well as what he could be for this Islanders team. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.